Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with my review for American Horror Story, Season 8, Episode 1. Wow, so what an episode to start off this season of American Horror Story. So I will say, just off the bat here, I have not seen any other seasons of American Horror Story. Have to be honest, I've always, recognized the show, of course, kind of paid attention to what's going on with it, awards-wise, right? And obviously, I watch American Crime Story, and so that's kind of similar to this, right? In a different sense, of course, but it's kind of similar. Same kind of techniques and stuff are used in both, and I really enjoy American Crime Story. So my good buddy, the televisionary, or Adam, and so he was kind of pushing me to watch the season, and I was I heard it was about the apocalypse, American Horror Story Apocalypse this season, so I was like, all right, I'll give it a try, and see what it's like, see if I like it. And I have to say thank you, Adam, for suggesting this to me and pushing me to watch it, because I really did enjoy this first episode, and I think the season's going to be great. So yeah, I don't know, I always just kind of stayed away from horror on television, even though I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. I don't know, it's just kind of a stigma of mine, I guess, that I've just always stayed away from horror on television and mainly movies. But I'm really happy I checked this one out. So honestly, I am. So anyway, so if there's a little bit of stuff in here where you're like, oh, that's obvious, he was that actor's from a couple seasons ago. Well, I'm not gonna be aware of all that, so do apologize in advance. But anyways, so again, considering that this is the first season I'm watching American Horror Story, it was not at all what I expected, to be honest, but I was blown away by it, right? And so I don't know, I just went into this with very different expectations. My expectations of this was going to be, an apocalypse kind of thing. I was picturing kind of Walking Dead, right? That's kind of what I was picturing. That's what I kind of thought it was going to be. But it's nothing like that, right? It was nothing like that. It was very, fast-paced, very elaborate, right? And this whole, kind of thing that's crafted, that as a result of the apocalypse, was really great. So anyways, televisionary, he keeps saying, Ryan Murphy, and he's a huge fan of Ryan Murphy, and honestly, man, I understand. I mean, he is brilliant in the stuff he puts together, and of course, the other writers deserve a lot of credit too for what they do, but this episode, man, I guess it was written by Ryan Murphy, and I don't remember the other name, but anyways, the other creator of the series, they co-wrote this one, and man, it was great. So it was really great. So anyways, so just kind of getting into, more of the episode here. So episode is kind of split into two parts, non-equal parts, but two parts. So we kind of get a pre-bombing, right? So a pre-end of the world, and then a post-end of the world little segment here. So the first, I would say 7, maybe even 10 minutes of the episode is kind of that pre-bombing time, right? Before the world kind of ends. And then the rest of the episode, the rest like 35 minutes or so, is the post-bombing, or the post-world ending. And then we see this whole kind of atmosphere and this environment that they have crafted for us. So, I did really appreciate seeing the before portion, though, instead of just jumping right into it. I thought that was needed, right? Especially because they brought those characters from before the bombing to the after the bombing, and it actually linked up. So in that regard, very good job in doing that. And I did really like it in the way that they were able to show that before portion to kind of set things up for us, that we understood this situation, and that we could see what was going on, right? And even in that before scene, there were some, horrific things and kind of chilling things just in that little section, not even considering the kind of post-apocalyptic, universe that these characters are kind of put in after the world is ending. So really great job there. I really did enjoy the modern feel that they gave it, and I wasn't sure if this is how they do it for all seasons. Maybe you guys can let me know if you do know, but yeah, I really did enjoy the modern feel that they put on here. It really created more realism for me, and it even kind of created that belief that this could actually happen now, right? Like they were using realistic terms. You know, the one guy says this is World War III and all that stuff. And they get the alerts on their phone, and one of the characters even mentions the alert in Hawaii that happened, you know, was it last year? No, earlier this year, I think. And so just throwing in those modern feelings and those modern little senses in there was really great. I really felt like that kind of built the realism and made this seem like, wow, like this could actually happen, and this could actually be a result of the world ending, right? And so that was great. So I love the route that they are taking with this concept of the apocalypse. It's not, as much about the actual apocalypse and the world ending. That was pretty much covered in 10 minutes, right? I mean, it's basically the result of the apocalypse, the result of the world ending, right? So we're following these select few, mostly the rich ones, right? So the select few that have made it, right? Out of LA at least, right? So we're kind of focused on a specific area, not the whole world. But I think it's assumed that almost everyone in the rest of the world is kind of wiped out at this point, right? So the select few have made it, right? And they're living in this kind of underground compound. And we're seeing what they're thrown into, right? So they're kind of, out of the frying pan and into the fire kind of situation here, because they're saved. They don't die from this bomb dropping in this apocalypse, but is what they get thrown into better than that? I mean, it definitely up for debate, that's for sure. But anyway, so they're thrown into this situation where it's essentially a totalitarian, totalitarian control by Venable is her name. So, her full name is Miss Wilhelmina Venable is her name. And so she's kind of a monarch who's kind of controlling the whole society in this kind of compound. And of course, there's a couple others who kind of work for her or under her, but still above all the other ones, right? And so she has, societal control. She has control essentially over their lives, right? Over everything. Even with the separation of people into purple and gray, right? But they're all living within the confines of this underground bunker, right? And so, but she's already splitting them into class and, labeling people this and that, and if you don't follow my orders, you get killed, pretty much, right? So it's a really, really, really big change to what just, was in the world a few weeks ago before the world ended, right? So they're all confined to this underground bunker, right? Built and funded by an entity called the Cooperative, right? So we haven't fully understood exactly what that cooperative is and who is a part of that, who's responsible for all that. But I'm sure we will, right? As the season goes forward here, I'm sure that we'll learn more about this cooperative group, right? And we do get introduced to one of their members at the end of the episode, of course, too. So I did like the way that they introduced us to these characters in the pre-bombing. I did cover this already, but then introduced them again when Timothy and Emily, who seem to kind of be the stars of the show right now, but it seems like they're kind of fading. So we kind of followed them to get to the bunker. And then once we got to the bunker, it seemed like they kind of faded, right? They weren't as important, when we got to meet those other characters, and especially Venable, right? So I really like the way that they were able to kind of, bring us into that environment with two characters that we've already met now from the pre-bombing, and then kind of make sense of that story. So that was good. I really liked the fast pace of this episode. It was really great. I mean, it was very fast paced, but it worked well with the story, right? So a lot of time skipped, right? They go from 4 days after the bombing, 2 weeks after the bombing, and then 18 months after the bombing. So just a really, a lot of time skips, right? Really fast paced. Everything's kind of happening at once here. And I thought this was actually kind of authentic because that's kind of how it would be. I mean, 4 days after the world ends, you're taken to this bunker in this whole new society that's all been, kind of organized by this monarch, leader, Venable. It would seem kind of like that. It would seem ridiculously, fast-paced and kind of unrealistic, right? And that they really created that with that pacing. So really great job there, and it didn't seem boring at all. Like, you were on your toes the whole time. It was gripping, right? You weren't sure what was going to happen next, and so that was really great. Acting. phenomenal, phenomenal. And you know what? I expected this for sure because I knew American Horror Story's reputation for their acting and all that stuff. But it was phenomenal all the way around. Everyone did a really great job. Let me tell you, Sarah Paulson is a powerhouse. I can't say enough about her, honestly. I mean, she is amazing. She was great in American Crime Story. That's where I've seen her before. And, of course, she's been in other seasons of American Horror Story. This, I mean, you know, her character, the way that she kind of approaches that character, amazing, amazing. So she's doing an amazing job in this. I did really enjoy Cody Fern. Even though he's in the last couple minutes, I really think he's an emerging actor who deserves a lot more projects than he's getting right now. Although he's kind of just on the start. Right, he's kind of starting his career off, but he was in the Assassination of Versace this past year, and then now he's in this, and I think he's been in House of Cards, but he is a really great actor, honestly. I think he's really underrated. I think he did deserve an Emmy nomination for Versace over Finn Whitlock or Whitrock. And so, you know, he didn't get that, but I do think his time is coming. I think he's great. So, anyways, acting was really great all around. The soundtrack was great as well, right? Captured the overall tone and atmosphere perfectly, right? And the songs that was playing on the stereo there, right? I think it was The Next Morning was playing right on the little stereo there, and that song was playing, right? That really captured the moment and the atmosphere, so that was really great as well. And especially for horror, you want to set the scene with a little bit of music, you know, ramping up to, you know, the big scenes, and they did an amazing job with that. So that was really great. And yeah, I mean, you know, that's pretty much it. I can't say, you know, enough good things about this episode. I really can't. Can't wait for next week to see what these characters are going to be thrown into next, right? With this big arrival of Michael Langdon, who is part of this cooperative group, right? And he's played by Cody Fern. And to see Cody Fern with that long blonde hair, it was strange, but it was pretty cool. So anyways, his character, he says that there's one, you know, kind of big compound or big bunker, right, that's existing now, and they're kind of dissolving all of these individual bunkers to this one, and he decides who is going to come there with him, right, to survive. And so who is he going to choose? How is he going to make the choices? And what is, you know, Venable doesn't seem, you know, perfectly, you know, on board with everything that he says he wants to do. And it's kind of, you know, a threat to her power, right, over these people. So we'll have to see how that goes for her and her character. I mean, it's going to be awesome. But anyways, so just in terms of our rating for this episode, I'm going to give it a 4.8 out of 5. There's just a couple things in here. I'm trying to think of negatives. Like, it was that good that I'm you know, kind of puzzled here on negatives. But I mean, you know, you could say that the pacing was a little bit of a problem, but I thought it was good. I really liked the fast pace. So, but for some people, maybe it was a little bit too fast paced. There wasn't a lot of character building here. That's probably one of the bigger negatives there. We didn't get a lot of background for these characters. We don't really truly know who they are yet. But I don't think that's the huge focus of this season and this story that they're kind of crafting for us. I think we're going to learn a lot about Venable, yes, but the other characters, maybe Timothy and Emily a little bit more, but some of the other minor characters, I just don't see us going into their background at all. But I might be wrong. You know, we'll see what happens. Anyways, so yeah, so a couple negatives there, but you know, otherwise it was perfect. It was a really good episode. Favorite character for this one, I'm gonna go with Miss Wilhelmina Venable, played by Sarah Paulson, of course. Really great job. Like I said, I already praised Sarah Paulson and for her job in this episode, and I'm sure she'll be amazing. Also, Emma Roberts is in this season, so we didn't get to meet her, I don't think, in this episode. I don't think she was in this one. May have missed her, but I don't think so. So I'm sure that she'll be coming in soon in the rest of the season. So that'll be really cool to see Emma Roberts as well. Sarah Paulson, though, doing a great job, and this Venable character is going to be one, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be cool. So anyways, hopefully she sticks around quite long. I think she will. But anyways, so yeah, that is my thoughts of the American Horror Story Season 8 premiere episode here. I'm hooked. I'm going to tune in next week. I'm tuning in the rest of the season here. Thank you, Adam, for pushing me to watch this. You know, honestly, man, I appreciate it. I'm in love with it already. So, anyways, definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it, or if you even haven't seen any other seasons of American Horror Story. I suggest you check this one out. Take it from me. I mean, I haven't checked it any other seasons, and I'm really loving it already just with this premiere episode. So, yeah, for sure. I definitely suggest it. So, anyways, again, thank you so much for watching this review of American Horror Story, and thank you so much for the support on the channel. I do really, really appreciate it. You know, we've been growing really fast, so, you know, I'm really thankful for that, of course. You know, it's really awesome. So, anyways, yeah, I'm not sure about week-to-week reviews for this one. We'll have to see how my schedule goes for the fall season. But, yeah, so I might be back next week, I might not. I'm not really sure at this point, but I'm definitely going to keep watching it and probably have a review for the overall season when it finishes up, you know, in a couple months from now. So anyway, stay tuned if you're interested in that for sure. But anyways, thanks so much for watching once again, and I'll see you in my next review.
There's got to be a morning after, if we can hold on through the night. We have a chance to find the sunshine.